Welcome back to the channel and the group. My name, for those of you that don't know, is Joey Huber. I am a gym owner that built my gym from $0 to $1 million in annual revenue, then delegated the entire thing to my team so I could work with gym owners full time doing the exact same thing. And today we're going to be talking about how I grew my gym from 0 to $1 million in 5 steps and how you can do the exact same thing. Right. So, step one, and we're going to get right into it. Step one, I built a wide foundation, right? When you're trying to scale something big, and in $1 million is big for a gym. In a lot in the business world, it may not be that big, but for a gym, when you are trying to build something high revenue, right? Think about it like a skyscraper, right? If you have a very small foundation, you can only get it so high before it topples over, right? And so if you want it to get, just like in business, if you want something to build high, you have to build a wide foundation first so you can keep going up. You can keep scaling without hitting massive bottlenecks. I mean, of course, you're going to get, issues along the way. Any business does. But if you want to give yourself the best chance to be able to get up there, you need to build a wide foundation. And what I mean by that is putting together systems, right? Knowing your KPIs and knowing your numbers, largely knowing the important numbers. You don't need to know everything at first, right? This is just step one. But I learned the numbers like gross profit, right? Huge number, right? Is my business going to be profitable as I scale? And then ultimately net profit, that's what I'm putting in my pocket, right? And I created a loose game plan, right? So that was step one. Was I before I just started going crazy with training and hiring and all of that stuff, I sat down and thought to myself, like, am I going to be running a model that when I get to $1 million, I'm going to be happy with? And I'll tell you this, how my gym operated and operates at $1 million of revenue is not what my original plan was. Okay, so the point is you don't have to get it right, but you have to at least have somewhat of an idea of what that might look like and plan for it, right? And so I talk to a lot of gym owners nowadays where they're doing really well revenue wise, but they're not making any money. Or they're doing everything themselves. And honestly, guys, this is just due to a lack of planning, right? It's just due to not really thinking it through, and getting started too quickly. When just a little bit of planning, and saying, okay, well, at 100 units or 100 clients or 200 clients or 300, what's my cost? What am I going to be spending? How much am I going to be earning? Like, just take a week and do that, right? And before you get going. Step number two was I learned to freaking sell, right? Man, this was a very important step, right? Learning to sell high ticket, long term programs for my gym, right? The model that I used revolved on selling higher ticket programs, personal training, boot camp, group fitness, nutrition, accountability, result setting and tracking, packaging these things together in what we call transformation programs, and then selling them for $300-400 a month for 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, whatever made sense for the client, right? And so I had to get really good at sitting down with a complete stranger and getting them to hand me over $3,000 by the end of the conversation. And guys, I took 1,000 of these fucking reps. I had so many of these sales. So I sold for 7 years before I delegated it. So that's 7 years worth of these conversations, Monday through Saturday. Selling, right? And the better that I got at selling, the easier it became to scale because I was good at acquiring customers and then delegating it to my team, right? And so I think step number two is get really good at selling, right? Because that is going to be how you build the business. Training is great. You can be really good at training. You should be really great at training, but that's only gonna take you to your first 20 clients, right? To go beyond that, you need to get good. And I think selling is the second skill set. Number three is I hired trainers, right, and then filled them up. So that was step three. Is I got good at marketing. right? And not like very good at marketing, but just started doing the stuff that I knew how to do. And so I started hiring trainers to literally just do the exact same thing that I was doing with clients, right? I mean, I didn't do anything fancy, right? I just said, hey, look, this is how I like to train clients. I sell them this kind of thing, and they really enjoy it. They renew for a long time. So if I pay you X amount of dollars, would you do it too? Right? And they were like, sure. Right. And so that's how I started growing. I continued scaling the business because, let's say I'm selling somebody a $300, let's say on the lower end of it, $300 a month for one of my transformation programs. And they're getting training and boot camps and all this kind of stuff. They love it. Right. It's a huge value. Um, and I used to hire and fill up my trainers to 30 clients. Okay, that was my max. 30 clients. Otherwise, they started to get like diminishing results and they're stretched a little bit thin. But guys, 30 clients times $300 a month. One of my trainers represented $9,000 of recurring revenue for me, right? And so the whole secret is I just ended up getting 10 trainers, right? That's it. It took me, 7 more years after I started selling and doing it myself. And you could probably do it way faster now because you have all these tools and resources and all this stuff I didn't have. But that's all I did, right? Hired a trainer that I thought was a good dude or woman that didn't come with a lot of, personality traits that I wouldn't be very fun to work with. And made sure they really cared about people and made sure that they could really deliver on what we did. And I filled them up, 30 clients a piece, $9,000 of revenue. You get the 10 of them, that's $90,000 of revenue. It's $1 million gym, right? That's it, right? So I got good at that, finding the right kind of people and then using my newfound sales skills to fill them up with a little bit of marketing, right? I was only doing the stuff that pretty much everybody knew how to do at the time. A lot of word of mouth, a lot of referrals, a lot of Groupon back in the day, a lot of, man, what were we doing? We didn't really get too much into flyers. Um, Website, but it wasn't that good. It was just there. But really just having a great gym and allowing word of mouth to spread. The next step number 4 is I leaned into marketing, right? And that's where I realized, okay, I've used up all of my organic strategies. I filled these guys up, but I don't really know how to go beyond this. You know what I mean? There's only so many friends, family members, coworkers that your existing members can bring in, or that you can. And some of the other channels started dying out, like Groupon completely died out, LBOs, stuff like that. It just turned out to people wanting free shit, and then the industry started changing with a lot of these group fitness franchises coming in, and they were doing the same thing. So it commoditized it. I had to get better at marketing, right? And so that's when I really learned marketing. I dug in deep into marketing and Facebook ads and website stuff. And man, what else did we do? Really learning how to get my team, because now I have these trainers, right? Really learning how to get my team to bring in new members. Right. So I tried to amplify my marketing efforts across, and it wouldn't be as good. Like it's not, they're not going to market to 100% of their capabilities like I would, right? But man, if I could get them to do it, a little bit, spend 20% of their free time trying to grow themselves within my business, and then you amplify that across 7 trainers, well, now they're bringing in 5, 10 new members in totality, not each, but across the board, across all 7 trainers each month, right? And then I could use my marketing skills with Facebook ads and website and SEO and all of that. Plus, we still have, word of mouth and all that other stuff going on. That was enough to keep growing the gym past like where a lot of gym owners get stuck at like 30 to 50K, somewhere in there. I see a lot of gym owners get stuck there, right? And that's when I know that's about the size where the gym owner is still training and selling and doing a little bit of management, and that's all their time, right? And they don't have any more time to do anything else, right? And so if they're able to break through that, which we talk a lot about how to do that, then they can reallocate some of that time towards marketing, and that's what actually busts through their bottleneck is continuing to acquire customers past their current threshold, which is just kind of replacing churn at the time, right? And then the final thing was I replaced myself, right? I hired a sales manager and I hired an ops manager, right? Ops manager first for sure, because I needed to keep sales. I was so good at sales, I just needed to keep it as long as I could, because that was like the lifeblood of new members. But all of the operations, and I mean like tracking of stats, lead flow, tracking everything that the coaches needed to be doing, referrals, goals that we set for them, updating them, what our marketing efforts internally were for members, challenges, events. There was a whole list of stuff that the ops manager did. Think about everything like running the gym and having nothing to do but sell and think about like where you want the company to go and big stuff that you wanted to do for the month. And then there was this other person then that would make all of that happen. That's what my ops manager did, right? Some people call him a GM. GM's kind of a hybrid between an ops manager and a salesperson. I didn't lean that direction because they usually aren't very good at both, right? Somebody who's very good at operations is typically somebody that's very organized, very, good with numbers and spreadsheets and planning and follow through and all of these different character traits that typically somebody that is very good at sales, they don't value those things quite as much as maybe just closing the deal, being able to have a great conversation with somebody. Like they really thrive in that hour conversation, and outside of that, they're typically not very good at the other pieces, typically. Right. Well, I wanted somebody that would be great at each of those pieces. Right. And so that's why I leaned in and got both of them. Right. And then my sales guy was the last guy I hired because that was the last thing I was doing. Right. I delegated that. I put together some really cool compensation structures and I looked around and there was nothing left for me to do. Right. And so that's how I was able to scale my gym from, zero to $1 million and then pull myself out of the business so I could work with gym owners. For the past 5 years now, the gym's been crushing it, and I've been working with gym owners do the exact same thing. So hopefully you guys found value in this video. I'm going to be coming live with sharing more things that have worked for me, sharing things that have worked with other gym owners that I've worked with, and hopefully it's enough value that you can apply it at your gym. And I have 14 frameworks, right? Things that I've done in the past at my gym that you can get for free. Just go to the FBU.com. And if you go to it's thefbu.com, you can download them for free. Apply them to your gym. Maybe they'll work for you too. We're out of here. Thanks.